What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to talk about the cheapest aquarium filter. Now, not only is it the cheapest, it's also in many cases the best filter. And today we're going to go over the pros and cons, why I use it in every single one of my fish tanks, from the 10 gallons all the way to the 125, and why I think everyone should own one, tell you where to get them. But first, I want to give a big thank you to everyone out there that has been watching the videos, subscribing. We actually just hit 200 subscribers the other day, which is crazy. It really inspires me to make, more videos and better videos with, new and different things for you guys. I got a few different ideas up my sleeve that I hope you guys are going to enjoy. But just a big thank you to everyone out there that's been not only watching, but especially commenting, liking, sharing, and to all you guys that are out there ringing that bell, thank you very much. So today we're talking about the sponge filter, specifically this dual sponge filter, and I'll get to a few reasons why I like this one more than some of the other types of sponge filters later in the video. But now I just want to talk to you about, what a basic sponge filter does compared to some of the other filters out there. Now, not only are these cheap to buy, there's no moving mechanical parts. It's literally just sponges and tubes, usually plastic and sponge. Some of them may have a metal weight or suction cups, but there's very minimal parts. So they don't cost much to run because they're powered by an air pump. If you're not sure how one of these work, you simply just hook up an air line to this tube right here, pushes air down into the main tube and pushes air and water out this black thing. And essentially what happens is these are removable. That's another benefit I'll explain in a second. And when the air gets pushed through here, it's drawing water in through the sponge, through these cylinders. And what I like about these in particular, all sponge filters operate similarly. What I like about these is there's two unique sponges. So one of the great things about sponge filters is you can see the tank. So when I set up new tanks in my fish room, I literally am able to just pop a sponge filter into that tank. Let's say I own one tank and this is the only filter I have and it's up and running and it's seated and I want to start a second tank. I can literally buy another one of these. When it comes in the mail, I take one of these off, put it on my new one, take one of the new ones, put it on here. This one will grow biological bacteria in time in the old tank, and now my new tank automatically has a new one. And I didn't even have one waiting. That's literally if I just had one and had to buy one. Now, if I have these on deck like I do, I keep these floating in the water, and I can just plop the whole thing to start a new tank. But even if you have one tank in one of these and you go out to get a second one, it's so simple. You don't even have to, miss a beat. You literally now have two filters from your one. You don't have to squeeze it or cut it in half or anything like that. Some of the other reasons these are so great, other than the fact that it's cheap to buy, cheap to run, and there's not a lot of moving parts, so there's no maintenance or anything like that. They're also a great food source for small fish and small fish safe, while at the same time being beneficial in a larger aquarium. As I noted, I have some in my 125-gallon aquarium, and they serve as great biological filtration. Now, if you keep some larger fish species, one of the backsides or one of the downsides about this filter is that it doesn't provide a lot of mechanical filtration. So if there is a lot of poop coming into like big pieces of poop, this will not necessarily get rid of it, so you have to do some gravel vacuum. Now, some of the drawbacks of this filter, other than let's say like a canister filter, this is inside your tank, so it is a little unsightly. That is definitely one of the major drawbacks, and I try to aquascape around that. You can hide it with plants or what have you, or if you don't mind it. But the one drawback is this will take up tank space, whereas the hang-on back filter just has some tubes, and a canister filter will just have some tubes. This will occupy space in your tank, although in my opinion, it is worth it. Another type of filter out there that's similar to a sponge filter is a Hamburg Matten filter. Some of the benefits of this sponge filter over a Hamburg Matten filter is tank space, because a Hamburg Matten filter will even take up more tank space than this sponge filter. And you have to cut up a Hamburg Matten filter if you wanted to kind of seed other tanks with it, whereas this, you just kind of plop and go. One of the things I have heard about this, these cheaper brand sponge filters is the suction cups. In my experience, and I've had these for almost 2 years, some of the oldest ones, and I keep buying them in different sizes. This is the size that's rated for a 20-gallon tank. They also sell a little smaller one that's rated for a 10-gallon tank. And I've noticed that these suction cups, as long as I've kept them wet, I've been fine. I've noticed that in one that I had wet and then dry and then wet and let it dry out, the suction cups could get a little brittle, but that's pretty much going to be the case with any suction cup. I would just recommend, keeping them wet. And worst case scenario, you can replace the suction cups. that's not that big of a deal in my opinion. I'm gonna place an Amazon affiliate link down below to these sponge filters. They sell them in, like, you can buy them singly, but the savings is really worth it if you buy a 2-pack or even a 4-pack. I buy the larger ones in a 4-pack, and I think it's like 15 bucks. If you're someone who like really wants to overstock your tank, or you have a tank full of African cichlids, you know, this alone is not a great filter for you. But like I said, even in my 55-gallon tank that has a canister filter and full of African cichlids, I keep a sponge filter. You know, it's aeration at the surface, and let's say I have to quarantine a specific tank or a specific fish out of that tank, I can literally start a quarantine tank with this exact filter. I can pull the filter out of my 55-gallon tank, throw it in a 20-gallon tank, and I have a quarantine tank with that tank's biological filtration. So it doesn't matter if you have a 10-gallon tank and this is your only filtration because you keep shrimp, or if you have a 200-gallon tank and you just have 1 or 2 of these in your tank, or even your sump that you can use as an emergency, you know, hospital cedars, or just in general. They are great to have around. I hope you guys learned something today. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. Until next time, stay positive and stay passionate.